Well guys, my new fence is coming. Yay! 3 trucks, 2 tractors, 3 goosenecks. They really bring an entourage. So what they're gonna do is basically just take this straight pole and hammer it straight down into the ground. It's a hydraulic hammer. Maybe. Ideally this will be done in a couple hours, less than a day for sure. And down it goes. All right, guys, big exciting day. I mean, if you would believe it, it took AgriPro Fencing 3 hours from the time they showed up till the time they loaded up and left. And they finished our garden fence, put in 2 gates. Aiden's excited to come out and see it too. So I'm so excited about this because deer are such a problem. This is a 5.5 foot post. It actually does stand over my head, and we've got a nice, it's really nice wrapped wire. It's not like that welded wire stuff that tends to fall apart. And it is, I don't know, 75 feet in the longest direction. I'm gonna have to get a little decorative here, but Asher is holding the gate open for me so I can enter my garden space now. That is so exciting. Lucy was really concerned about what all was going on, and actually it's low enough to the ground that she could probably be enclosed out here and it would be fine. So all these T-posts now can come out because all of these T-posts were really just holding up the deer netting that we used last year. But as you can see, we've got the 12-foot double swing gate tractor entrance over here. Everything looks really nice, really nicely done. Sturdy corners. It's tension set wire, so it should hold up for a very nice long time. I'm so pleased with it, very excited to expand the garden this year, and this was going to be kind of the linchpin in everything before we were going to be able to plant. So, woohoo! Happy last day of March. This is a good day, y'all. Have a good one. Bye. Hey guys, in the greenhouse again today. Asher's actually out here with me this morning. I wanted to show you 2 quick things, and then he's got his little update. Master Gardener Asher always has something going on. So I went ahead and put some trellising line on our peas. You can see there that they are getting nice and tall. They really need something to grab onto to relieve the stress on their stems. So they like having something really close and easily accessible to grab. I just used some cotton line, and it'll be compostable at the end of the year. I'm not really worried, but it is strong enough, of course, to hold the peas. Another thing that we're working on here, Asher and I have all of our tomatoes. You would have seen that in the video yesterday. But these tomatoes are getting a little too big for their 6-packs. So we are going to up pot them to individual pots. That way their roots can continue to expand and they can grow bigger and get nice and healthy before we transplant them out. I wanted to give you a quick rundown. As the season progresses and the videos get longer, Facebook is not allowing me to post anything of real length. I think probably like 5.5 minutes is the most I'll be able to post onto Facebook. So I turned the Gebhardt Homestead YouTube channel. Neil and I have had it, and we usually just post things up for reference for ourselves later. But I am going to make that YouTube channel visible, and I'll still post on Facebook when I do the garden updates. But depending on the length of the video, you might actually have to go to YouTube to watch it. And that's just based on the limitations of Facebook and what they're going to allow me to post. So, with that, Asher, did you want to give your garden update? What are you working on today?
Mommy wants me to show out the dirt in the pile out there, no friends, but I can pretty much do it because on cold weather days, I'm from the Arctic. That's why I can survive this without a hood or a coat.
So what are you putting into the planter out there?
Well, a bucket and my shovel that Grandma gave me.
All right.
And I agreed with Mommy's idea.
I think we've got some flower bulbs that I came across. I don't know if they're going to be any good. It'll be a little bit of an experiment. They might not come back. I'm not really sure even how old they are. But Asher's going to plant them.
I did this to catch the sun's light.
All right. Can we wrap it up? That way Facebook lets us post this video. Can you say goodbye to our friends?
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys. Guys, I'm working in the garden today. The boys are helping me do quite a few things, but I wanted to get my asparagus bed situated. We moved 2 asparagus last year, but I have not seen any of the palm the fronds come up yet this year. So I went ahead and bought more. Asparagus is kind of a long-term thing, a lot like fruit. Even if you buy crowns that are grown to a certain size, you should never expect harvest that first year. In general, asparagus takes 3 years to give you a harvest, but if you buy crowns, sometimes you can cut that down to the next year's harvest, so you can cut 2 years off of that. So I've got my asparagus crowns here, and I have weeded the asparagus bed. There were 2 crowns planted there and there last year, so I'm going to leave those undisturbed. They should be really nice down in the soil. I have trenched out about 6 inches down, and then your asparagus roots are going to have a little crown on the top of them. These are, and actually you can tell, these are little baby buds coming up, and then the root goes down. You don't want to smash this down into the ground, so for each trench that I'm gonna put here, I'm gonna only have 2 plants in each trench because I don't necessarily want them to touch each other. So I'm gonna put this one here, and then I'm gonna tuck another crown over on this side, just like that, and make sure that the roots are nice and situated down under the ground. And then I will be covering these up with nice, loose, a little bit of sandy soil. And that way they can grow and spread. Again, this year we will not have a harvest. I will probably just prune them back here in the fall after they've had a year to settle in. But we will not harvest them this year, possibly next year if they're looking good. Ooh, a worm. Leave him. He's good for your garden. All right. So that's how we're doing our asparagus this year. Maybe what we planted last year will come back. I don't know. We'll see. Have a good one, guys. Bye. Hey guys, good morning. I was out in the greenhouse the other day and I checked my calendar, and a lot of the calendula that I seeded in the beginning of March, I noticed it hadn't come up yet. And while it does get down pretty low at night, the temperatures during the day should keep the soil warm enough that germination really shouldn't be a problem for that plant, because it's, it comes up really early in the spring. And so that got me thinking, like, oh, I better check my seed packet and see how old those seeds are. When I looked at my seed packet, so these are the seeds that I had. I looked at the back there, and it has a sell-by of 2014. And I was like, wow, that was the last time I started calendula from seed. And so I decided to look through some of the rest of the things that I planned on sowing this year and decide how old the seeds are and whether I need to get new ones. Before you do, though, I think I've told you probably before that seeds have viability a long time past their printed date. And you can check that viability too before you just toss a seed packet. So what I'm doing here, I've got a couple other things that I want to check to see if I'm going to get any germination out of. And what I'm doing, hollyhock, for example, these are a long time flower, but their seeds are really old. And so I'm scattering them here on a paper towel. And then I'm gonna wrap this paper towel and put it inside of just a little seed bag. And then I'm gonna spritz it down with some water. And then I'm gonna label it. So this is the calendula that I just started. What I'm gonna do here, I label it on the front. My seeds are in there. They're already moist. And then I'm putting the date on the back. So calendula, it says, should emerge in 10 to 15 days. So really not a long time. The warmer it is, usually the quicker your germination happens. And most herbs, calendula is a flower, but it is also considered an herb. Most herbs do need sunlight to germinate. So I'm going to put this with my tomato plants that are still under the germ lights, and I'm going to wait to see if I have any sprouting, any germination happening. So the seed pod opening, any type of root tail coming out, anything like that. If I see that, then I know that some of these seeds at least are still viable, and you can just plant a lot more seeds in a start pot if you want to, or you can actually germinate using this very method, and then very, very carefully, once you have germination of the seeds that do sprout, you can move those into seed pots, cover them, and they will finish growing just like normal. So this is what I'm doing here early this morning. It's going to be kind of cold today, but being Good Friday, it is the day to plant my potatoes. So I'll be out in the greenhouse a little bit later, and then I will be actually working in the soil today, getting my late season potatoes planted at least. But if you're having any trouble with germination, or you just aren't seeing sprouts happening, this is a really good method to see if the seeds that you have are still viable, and to see you know, especially some seeds that are harder to get started, some herbs in particular. This is a really good method to get those going. All right, happy Friday, guys. Have a good one. Bye. Hey guys, out in the greenhouse. It is still Friday, April 2nd. It is Good Friday. And you've probably heard in the past at some point, if you've ever been a gardener, that you're supposed to plant your potatoes on Good Friday. You can definitely plant potatoes a week or two, or well, really like 14 to 21 days before your last frost date, because they're so deep under the ground. As long as your ground is workable, your potatoes will be fine. And long season potatoes or late season potatoes typically take between 100 and 120 days to come to maturity. Now, that's not to say that you can't dig them up early, but your potatoes will be just a little bit smaller, and they won't be as shelf stable as if you would have let them go the full season to full maturity. So the first potatoes that I'm planting this year, I'm planting several varieties. These kids. The first potatoes that I'm planting are a Gold Rush Russet, and they are a late season potato, so these should take between 100 and 120 days. I'm going to go ahead and plant these today. Now, really quickly, my potato strategy this year, because we eat a lot of potatoes, you know, small family, but we do eat a lot of potatoes. So I want to have one big harvest of late season potatoes, and for those we're going to do Purple Majestic. Anyway, a purple potato. We're going to do russet potatoes as our storage potatoes. And then I'm going to have 2 plantings of short season potatoes or early potatoes. The first one will be a Superior potato. It's a white early season potato. And then in a couple weeks I'll be planting my Yukon Gold, which is a mid-season potato that we will actually dig up with our late season potatoes. They'll all come mature about the same time, but we'll eat the Yukon Gold first because they don't store quite as long as russets, and then hopefully we'll have russets to carry us most of the way through the winter. Ish, I hope. That's what we're going for anyway. That's why we're doing our potato strategy this way. So if you've never planted potatoes before, definitely get seed potatoes, because the potatoes you buy at the grocery store have chemicals treated on them to prevent them from sprouting. And when you buy seed potatoes, you will see little sprouts like this. That's totally fine. That is what you want. And you can also do a thing called chitting potatoes. chit, C-H-I-T. But that's where you cut your potatoes, and as long as you have at least one set of eyes on each cut of potato, that section of potato will grow. So if you have a really large potato like this one, I actually could have cut this one down one more time, probably, but you might have multiple eyes on it that are viable eyes. You could cut this, and as long as you have one set of eyes on each section, that section will grow into a whole new plant. So I'm getting ready to plant these potatoes now. I'll definitely be planting my purple potatoes probably today. And I just want to tell you one more cool thing that I'm kind of doing. If you watch the video about when we tilled, we put some paper down, or paper, it's actually a clear plastic. We put some clear plastic down over the section of the garden that we tilled. And you can see that here. And I knew since it was clear plastic that there would be germination of any seeds and grasses underneath. So I am employing our birds today, just a couple of our sweeter hens. Hello, ladies. And what they're gonna do is just give a one more quick once over on the dirt, and they're gonna eat any seeds or any grass that they find, any weeds especially, that they find here. They're going to just till it up, eat whatever is there, and leave me some nice loose dirt to work with. So I'm running the chicken tractor over the garden, and I'm just gonna run them over the sections today that I'm getting ready to plant. And then I'm gonna deeply mulch this with some straw and put in a little pathway of wood puck pavers that we cut from a tree that we took down. And I'll have the first section of the garden in today. Yay! All right, I'm sure there'll be more potato-esque videos relatively soon, but this is where we're at for right now. Have a good one. Hey guys, happy Saturday. It is April 3rd, and we did a lot of stuff in the garden today, but it doesn't always seem like a lot, which is why I think it's really important to do these types of video documents. That way we can see the evolution of this garden over time. Last year it moved quickly, but obviously it was not done. This year I think it will move even more quickly because we have a design in mind and we have a plan. So I want to show you just a couple things that we did do today. Neil, with his ever handy self, got in our wood pile and he made me a sitting stump, because I like to just sit out and look at the garden. Sometimes I sit on the grass, sometimes I pull out a chair. He made me a table with I don't know if you can see that, with a piece of some live edge wood that he had, and grabbed a couple stumps out of the pile, and he was like, we got a sitting stump. And I was like, all right, I like it. It's kind of exactly what I was looking for. And we did take down all of the T-posts that were around the old garden from last year, and he mowed this area just a little bit. We're gonna move that trellis still. We took down a couple other trellises that we had from last year, but we're doing a little bit of drip on the garden beds right now to get them really nice and hydrated, charged up for spring planting, more so than what I've already got out there. I did do the little paver walkway, and that first row there is just one variety of our potatoes. I don't know if you've ever gardened with kids, but it does take about 3 times longer to do pretty much anything when you've got children involved. And so that's fine. Like, I'll just plant the next set of potatoes like tomorrow. I don't care. It's fine. It's whatever. I am starting to bring out some of my decorative things. I've got some ideas for how I want to dress up the space. Another thing that we had, this is actually from another thing from our log pile. Got a big stump here. I'm going to grow some sunflowers around the perimeter of the greenhouse this year. I think that'll be really pretty, and it'll add in some light block, which seems counterintuitive, right? Like a greenhouse, you want it to heat up during the day. But right now, April 2nd, it's 98 degrees in here, and my peas, you can actually see, they are getting some stress on them because it is actually too hot for these peas. The spinach, I'm surprised to see it is still leafing out. I have actually seen spinach bolt as early as, just a couple weeks past germination if it gets too hot. So I'm going to have to make a decision on what I'm going to do with these plants in here. I might have to move the whole barrel out, which is, it's a good thing because it's in a pot. It's in a giant feed barrel, and so that's possible. But it's something definitely to consider when you're greenhousing is if you're not controlling the temperature, you could have wild extremes. And I have been watching our extremes. It's going all the way up to 100 degrees and back down to air temp almost every day. But this is the land of all of my misfit tomatoes right now. I'm almost done up potting the tomatoes. At my last count, I was at like 72. I've got some more over here, all different varieties, and I'm trying to keep them straight as I'm marking them and getting them going. That's what I have left to do, and I do have one more tray left in the house to bring out here. But there's always another day, and you do what you can do, and hopefully still find time to enjoy the garden too. So that is the progress that we made today, this weekend. I don't know what'll happen tomorrow, being Easter. It's hard to say, but I hope you all are having a good one. I hope you're out enjoying this amazing weather. We're getting ready to go grill, so enjoy. Bye, guys.